You losers!
Hey, I'm Elise Baughman. I'm the voice of Pan on Dragon Ball GT, and today I am with my fellow voice actor, Austin Tindle.
Howdy.
Howdy, he says. And this is Anime Adventures, the show where I bring you interviews with my fellow anime voice actors, and we are at Kamehameha 3. Yeah, it's been a good
very
one.
Dragon Ball centered.
It is very Dragon Ball centered.
My characters are not very big in Dragon Ball.
That's okay.
You can tell they're not big because I say characters, because I've played like many people that show up once.
But that's awesome. Many Dragon Ball characters who have showed up.
My biggest claim to fame is that I'm in Dragon Ball Kai during the tournament arc, and I'm in the crowd that's watching, I think it's one of the kids, it's like Goten fight or something, and he fights a little too good, and the rest of the Z fighters are like, bring it back. But there's one moment where they cut to the crowd, and there's this surfer guy and his girlfriend, and the surfer guy's like, that was totally awesome. And the girlfriend was like, oh my god, that was like totally insane. And I play both of them.
Oh, you do?
I managed to convince Raleigh to, and he was like, you know what, we'll do it, and we'll see if it gets past Mix. And nobody noticed, so, I mean, they only have that one line each.
Yeah.
But I do, I do get to play a guy and his girlfriend.
Wow, I'm quite impressed.
Normally,
actually.
you're not allowed to do that. And
no.
I probably should stop saying that, because I bet if anyone heard about that, they might get upset in the higher ups.
I kind of love it.
But aside from that, I play a bunch of random characters that die here or there in Dragon Ball and in GT and in Super. And I'm collecting food-related Dragon Super names. So I play Sour, I play Raspberry, and I played Leek.
Okay.
Which, I mean, a sour raspberry leek, that could be a good dish.
That could be a good dish. That could be fantastic.
If you maybe grilled the leek.
Yeah.
And then drizzled it with a raspberry vinaigrette, like a lemon raspberry vinaigrette.
I like it. So from now on, if they cast you in anything else, it can only be
food items.
It has to be a food name.
And it has to fit on our menu. It has to fit with the rest
something
of
that
the
you
food.
can grill that fits with that.
Exactly. Like if we could have a protein in the next name, that would be really nice.
Oh yes, that would. So yeah, casting directors. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Make sure, or your agent, only send him auditions with food names. Protein, please. Okay, well, I like that, because sometimes we do, as actors, just play a bunch of small characters, but you've got big roles, too, and we're going to talk about that, too. You do.
So big.
So let's pick one.
Okay.
Pick a character.
Here, we'll do this because it's happening right now. This is Neito Monoma from My Hero Academia. You might not have seen very much of him in the first few seasons, but we're in season 5. And no spoilers, but Season 5 is all about Class 1A versus Class 1B, and he is kind of the most obnoxious and loud voice in Class 1B, so you get to hear a lot of him. He has a copy quirk, so if he slaps you, he can steal your quirk for like 5 minutes. And he hates Class 1A, and he sounds like this. He mostly screams, so I'm going to turn away from the mic. Class 1A sucks! You losers! So, I play a lot of people who have obnoxious laughter. That's just one of them.
Typecasting?
Maybe. I mean, I think my real laugh is quite pleasant, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
but going against type.
I'm also been acting for so long that I have no idea what my real laugh actually sounds like. It's all a facade.
It's
all.
Do you even know yourself anymore?
When I was 4, I talked like this. So.
Oh, I talked like that when I was younger too.
Yeah.
I did.
Lisa don't like coleslaw, Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
I was from Georgia.
Oh, you were from Georgia. I was from Louisiana.
I was born in Florida. I moved to Georgia for just long enough to get the accent, and then I moved to Austin when I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
And then I've lived in Austin until I moved to Dallas, Texas.
Really? And did you still have the accent when you moved here and started acting? Did you have to get rid of the accent?
No, because once I moved to, I'm not sure what I sounded like when I was 5, really. But once I moved to...
I like the idea that you sounded like this.
I do remember hearing myself on VHS. So there was a time when I did talk like this. But growing up in Austin, in South Austin, like everyone's so non-regional and such a big city that disappeared in public school, basically.
Oh, okay.
Except I'm told that sometimes I get a Texas drawl when I flirt.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting quirk. Texas drawl when you flirt.
Yeah. Well, it's a good dialect to flirt with. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
That's a dialect, not an accent.
A dialect. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I did use that wrong.
I mixed them up.
Oh.
Did you say it already? Did you say accent?
I probably said accent.
I mean, I think accent counts for both.
Maybe so. We'll have to Google this later.
Listen to me, I'm getting all Texan again.
Yeah.
Okay, this character is named Ken Kaneki. He's from Tokyo Ghoul. A story about a boy who went on a coffee date with a girl, and then she tried to eat him, and then steel beams fell on her, and her organs were put in his body, and then he became a half-ghoul who was overwhelmed by the insatiable urge for human flesh. So, whatever that's a metaphor for. It's a beautiful show. Ken Kaneki sounds like this. You'll get what's coming to you when I eat you instead. But at the beginning of the show, he sounds like this. I just want to read books and drink coffee. I hope she likes me.
That is a big shift.
There's a great character arc that happens with this character. And I was literally like a poor homeless actor when I started this show. I was living in my girlfriend's van at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, recording season 1 of this. And it took about 4 years to get through the whole season. So by the time this character, the character arc itself is about 4 years. And the character changes dramatically. So when I came back to him, there was a 2-year gap where we didn't record the show, and there was a 2-year gap in this own character's life in the context of the show. So I got to come back like as a different person, portraying a different version of this person. It was maybe like the longest time I've gotten to spend with one anime character. So that makes it like very unique experience.
Interesting, yes. Well, and it sounds like things changed for you personally during that time.
Yes, I got an apartment.
Yeah.
And then right after that came out is when I started getting to go to cons. And I remember when I first got my first con agent, and she was like, "Hey, they're gonna like fly you out and give you a hotel, and they're gonna give you money." And I was like, "What?
What?
You're gonna let me sleep in a bed as a job?"
This is fantastic.
I've gotten over it by now.
But that was the honeymoon phase.
That was the honeymoon phase. And all of a sudden, there was this one year where I went to like 25 conventions.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It was a huge change in lifestyle and self-image and bank account.
Wow.
I mean, it's still a struggle today. You know, all actors are. It's a constant struggle to stay afloat. But like, I went to the dentist this year. You know.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that exciting?
That is exciting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fixing my teeth. Okay, let's talk about anime.
Yeah. But we are so excited.
I'm really excited about the dentist thing. I'll tell you. They said Kamehameha.
Yeah, they did a Kamehameha or something. I don't know if you could hear that, but it was loud. This is Karma Akabane from Assassination Classroom. Mm-hmm. It's a TV show about a bunch of kids trying to murder their teacher to save the world. Karma sounds like this. I've always wanted to kill myself a teacher. He's an interesting dude. He's kind of sadistic. Mm-hmm. He doesn't show up. He's one of those characters that shows up at like the beginning and the end of every episode and either solves or
creates a problem.
That's got to be fun. Yeah,
he's
and
cool.
then one more.
And this is Accelerator. And Accelerator considers himself a villain. He is the main villain from a certain magical index. You can also see him in a certain scientific railgun and a third spin-off that he stars in called A Certain Scientific Accelerator. But by that time, this is one of these characters, I love these characters the most because he starts off as the big bad, and his job is, like, the main character in that show, she's been cloned, I'm gonna get it wrong, like 30,000 times or something.
Yeah.
And she's been cloned in order to, they're using all those clones in order to get him to level up. So he's like this kid that was raised in a lab, and he's a level 5 Esper, but they want to, like, get him even stronger, so they have him kill these 30,000 clones. So he's just killing all these clones until he meets this one version of the clone that didn't, like, mature and was actually, like, she looks like a little 8-year-old girl, and then he turns into this anti-hero because he decides to, like, fight against the establishment and protect this girl. And then his spin-off is all about, like, when he goes rogue after that.
Ooh.
You gotta love gray characters like that kind of,
like morphing.
Yeah, start off bad and then become morally questionable, but not bad. And he continually identifies himself as a villain, but he has these, like, he's got that anti-hero trait of, like, of a supreme sense of justice. He doesn't, like, hurt people for no reason, except for those 30,000 clones.
Except for those. They're sad. Well, I know you do so many voice acting roles, but you do on camera, you do improv. They've performed his improv troupe with Eric Vale and a couple others. They've performed the past 2 nights at Kamehameha. What do you love about improv, and how do you think that really helps you with your on-camera and voice acting roles?
Well, I mean, being on stage in general, I think, is the best kind of acting tool. I just say that because that's how I kind of gained all my experience and skills. But there really is such an opportunity for you to learn about how your instrument functions when you're on stage and to have that immediate reaction from the audience. Improv in relation to anime is one of those forms of acting that is all cold reading. So, improv is about being fluid, and I think it's, when I was a younger actor and I was trying to, like, get into a role, like maybe something very emotional, I would use a lot of sense memory, a lot of those techniques of, like, really trying to dig into myself to, like, force some extreme emotional presence out of myself to try to find that thing.
Yeah.
But the older I get, the more I invest in kind of the opposite, like meditating on Zen, like nothingness, like being present, sensitive, and aware, and flexible. When I'm in the booth about to have to start working, like, I'll try to, like, smell the air and touch things around me and get, like, tactile and get stuck in my senses.
Yeah.
And I try to, like, inhabit the mindset of like childlike wonder.
Really?
Yeah, and this is a lot of this is like Kristen Linklater technique stuff, which I think is a lot has to do with breaking down the barriers that that civilization uses so that we can, like, function together. Like, you ever notice how when you're in a group of people talking and there's a pause, at some point you'll hear someone go, that's the sound of someone unsticking their tongue from the roof of their mouth. And we do it all the time as this unconscious, like, indicator I'm about to speak. But it's also shows you how tense that person was to stop themselves from giving into the natural impulse, because we have to constrict our impulses in order to have a civilized society. But we need to let go of those restrictions in order for us to be impulsive in an acting setting. And improv and stage theater, these things can help, blunt force trauma that. Muscle memory lives in our bodies. Like, you never forget how to ride a bike. You also never forget how to tense up when you're scared. So emotions and everything live in different parts of our bodies, and working through that stuff. And when you're doing improv, like you have to start forcing yourself to be in that space.
Yes.
And you will be rewarded with it. So your body will start to learn, like, I can add more to this situation if I'm like just right here responding, because kids know how to play, kids know how to improv.
Oh, yes.
They haven't learned how to stop themselves.
Yes.
So we have to. I try to be like a
themselves.
child. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
No, I loved that, and that was fascinating. And a lot of people who watch want to know about acting and voice acting and what's your background, and it sounds like you come from stage and improv. That was such a wonderful explanation of just not just for acting but for life.
Yeah.
Like being free just in life, in our interactions. I loved that. I love that you shared that.
Aww. And I agree, it is about life. I think there aren't enough people that look at acting as an art that can enrich your life in the same way that other art forms can. There are people out there who know how to play the guitar or who paint at home, and they do these things as an exercise of self-care. But often we think that acting has to have a product, an end result that we can present to say, like, I'm not an actor unless so like, local theater is a great exercise, even if it's not selling something.
Yes. Well, I mean, when I started acting, I was actually still in corporate America, and I didn't know if I would become an actor. Mm-hmm. But I thought, if anything, it will get me out of my shell in a new way. It will force me out of my comfort zone. And so there are still people who don't even want to be actors. I'm like, go take an acting class. It stretches you in a way that you wouldn't normally be stretched because it's so different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason that the words theater, therapy, and theology all sound similar, because I think there are things that overlap. Communal experiences are built into our biology, and acting in its earliest form was like people around a campfire talking about how not to get murdered.
Yes, that's true.
And through there we had the impetus to invent more and more sophisticated language, and then we reviewed that language through ritual.
You're absolutely right. Wow.
So it's sacred.
That was amazing. I actually loved your explanation.
Oh, thank you.
That was a class in itself. Well, hey, thank you for joining me so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I like to end the show where you say goodbye in a character voice, and I am going to copy your character voice.
Okay.
You know how this goes. So.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna make you do.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Hey, thanks for joining us, and thank you so much. Bye.